It's interesting because we know that the Egyptians had boats.
Yeah, I think the best evidence for it is ancient maps, which show the world as it looked during the last ice age. However, these maps were largely based on much older source maps, which they copied.
There's an ancient map that defies everything we think we know about history. It's called the Piri Reis map, and it shows the world as it might have looked during the last ice age. Coastlines, continents, even Antarctica, are drawn not as frozen wastelands but as landmasses that might once have been lush and green. What if someone, thousands of years ago, possessed the technology to map the world with unbelievable accuracy? Even Elon Musk is intrigued, questioning if we've missed an entire chapter of human history. Could an advanced civilization have existed long before ours, mastering the oceans and mapping the globe? And if they did, why has this knowledge been erased from our history books? Now we think we know the story of our past. We think history's greatest mysteries have been solved, and all that's left to discover are small fragments. But sometimes a new piece surfaces, one that feels like it's challenging everything we thought we knew. That's what happened when Joe Rogan sat down with Graham Hancock for a jaw-dropping discussion. They explored ancient civilizations, forgotten maps, and epic seafaring journeys that may have happened long before history as we know it officially began. But what does Elon Musk, of all people, have to do with this? As it turns out, Musk has a fascination for ancient mysteries and lost knowledge. He's something like a modern-day Indiana Jones, though instead of whips and fedoras, he's armed with rockets and spacecraft. Musk isn't one to shy away from questioning the accepted versions of our past. He's intrigued by the idea that our ancestors might have possessed advanced knowledge we've either forgotten or hidden away. It's almost as if Musk is daring us to look at history with new eyes, to consider the possibility that the world map we know may only be part of the story. To set the stage, let's look at the Polynesian expansion, a remarkable chapter in human history. This was humanity's first major venture into the open ocean, taking place around 3,000 to 3,500 years ago. The Polynesians were master navigators, crossing thousands of miles of open ocean without any modern tools. No GPS, no compasses. They discovered remote islands like Easter Island, a tiny speck in the vast Pacific. Easter Island is about 2,000 miles from South America and another 2,000 miles from Tahiti. Just finding it, let alone settling it, seems almost impossible, yet the Polynesians did it and even voyaged back and forth. But this is where things start to get even more interesting. Hancock, in his conversation with Rogan, poses a huge question. What if these Polynesian journeys weren't actually the first long-distance ocean crossings? Conventional archaeology holds that large-scale ocean navigation began with the Polynesians. But Hancock isn't so sure. He believes there's a strong case that humans were traversing oceans long before them, maybe even during the last ice age. Hancock's theory isn't based on speculation alone. He points to compelling evidence, including DNA findings in the Amazon. Some South American populations have genetic traces that suggest contact with people from across the ocean far earlier than previously thought possible. Rather than ignore this, Hancock argues that we should take it seriously. Could this be a clue pointing to a civilization of ancient navigators, a culture skilled in global seafaring and exploration? If so, who were they? And why does their story seem to be missing from our history books? All right, let's talk about ancient maps for a second, because these old charts might just hold clues to one of history's most puzzling mysteries. There's a collection of maps out there that seem to show the world not as it looks now, but as it would have appeared thousands of years ago during the last ice age. Now, these maps weren't drawn in prehistoric times. They come from the 1300s to 1700s, but they're suspected to be based on even older, now lost sources. One of the most intriguing among them is the Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by a Turkish admiral. This map shows parts of the world with unbelievable precision, including coastlines of South America, North America, and Africa. Only a fragment of the Piri Reis map survives, but it's enough to see that it was likely once a complete world map. What's even more fascinating is that the mapmaker, Piri Reis himself, left notes saying he used over 100 older sources to create it. Sources he claimed were preserved in the Library of Alexandria. Just think about that for a second. The Library of Alexandria, destroyed centuries ago, might have contained maps that showed the world as it looked during the Ice Age. And somehow, some remnants of this knowledge survived in Constantinople. where Piri Reis accessed them. Consider how incredible this is. This was an era when most people still believed the Earth was flat, and yet these maps depict coastlines and geographic details with remarkable accuracy. And it only gets stranger when you realize that these maps aren't just accurate in shape. They include precise latitude and longitude coordinates. Now, figuring out latitude isn't too hard if you can track the sun, but longitude, that's a whole different story. Calculating longitude requires knowing the exact time when you left a location and comparing it to the local noon at your current position. For this, you need a chronometer, a clock that can keep time accurately even through the rough motion of a ship. But here's the kicker. We didn't invent a reliable marine chronometer until the late 1700s. Before that, sailors struggled to find their position accurately, often ending up miles off course. So how did ancient mapmakers manage to include such precise longitudes on their maps? According to Graham Hancock, this isn't just a strange coincidence, it's a clue. He believes these maps hint at an advanced civilization existing during the last ice age, one that mastered navigation and mapping in ways we once thought impossible. Hancock suggests that these maps, with their shocking precision, reveal the existence of an entire lost culture of explorers who were mapping the world long before anyone we currently know of. And then there's Antarctica. Here's a continent officially discovered only in 1819, meaning no map before that date should include it. But some of these ancient maps do show Antarctica, not as a frozen wasteland, but with what appear to be ice-free coastlines. In other words, Antarctica, as depicted on these maps, seems like a green, habitable land, suggesting that whoever charted it may have seen it at a time when it was not yet covered in ice. To put this in perspective, for Antarctica to have been ice-free, we'd have to go back tens of thousands of years, all the way to the last ice age. This isn't just wild speculation. It's tangible evidence that doesn't fit the accepted story of human history. These maps show an ancient world that shouldn't exist, a world we've all but forgotten or erased from our collective memory. And here's one more enigma. The Bimini Road, an underwater structure near the Bahamas that has left experts debating for years. Made up of large rectangular stones, this road looks eerily like a man-made pathway beneath the waves. Some claim it's a natural formation, the result of geological forces shaping the rocks into neat blocks. But Graham Hancock isn't so sure. He believes it might be the work of an ancient civilization, one that built it thousands of years ago when sea levels were much lower. What's even stranger, the Bimini Road appears on some ancient maps as if it were above water, mapped by people who may have walked its full length long before it was swallowed by the sea. If these maps are right, they tell a story of a civilization with skills and knowledge we've all but forgotten. Thousands of years ago, they might have mapped coastlines, navigated the world's oceans, and recorded lands we didn't even know existed. And yet all of this, an entire history, seems to have been erased, surviving only in fragments on ancient maps, held by explorers like Piri Reis, who stumbled upon these secrets and shared them with the world. It's as if these maps are holding on to a hidden truth, a truth we may have never been meant to find. Elon Musk, too, is captivated by the possibility of lost civilizations, particularly the idea that Antarctica could hold secrets beneath its ice. Imagine, under miles of frozen landscape, ruins of an ancient city, remnants of a world lost in time. So what do you think? Are these ancient maps and structures hints of a civilization we've lost to history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.